Good morning, St. Peter's. We continue in our journey through Matthew. We hit Matthew 7, verses 13 to 23. Children of the Father, take the narrow path. Let's read out verses 13, chapter 7. Verse 13 and 14. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the road broad that leads to destruction, and there are many who go through it. How narrow is the gate and how difficult the road that leads to life. Few will find it. Living under the Father as a child is the narrow way. Remember, Jesus has been outlining what this narrow way looks like, how different it looks like to the world. It's about being generous with money and with our lives. It's about being generous in our relationships and being people of forgiveness. It's about speaking truth plainly. It's about being inclusive because God, our Father, allows the rain to go on the good and the bad. And it's all connected with being a child and being under the Father and reflecting His character. It's about showing off to the Father, if you remember, not showing off to others in prayer, fasting, and the way that we do our spiritual exercises. But then Jesus says there's a narrow path and there's a broad path. And He says, be on your guard in the very next verse, verse 15. Be on your guard against false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravaging wolves. Now, what does He mean? Who's He talking about here? He's talking about people that lead others. What are the false prophets? He goes on to say you can know them by their fruit. That is, if they speak about Jesus, but do they live for Jesus? Are they after money? Or are they after getting people to follow new rules or regulations? Simply saying Jesus came to fulfill the law, so now we have a new law, a new teaching, instead of actually allowing people to live by grace and encouraging people to live by grace? Are they built on the grace of the Heavenly Father and what He's done? But practically, wolves, do they practice forgiveness in their relationships and reconciliation? Do they practice cutting out lust and anger? Do they store up treasures for God and not themselves? You can probably think of many different churches or people to follow in different ways. You can think about lining that up with what Jesus says about being people of generosity, of inclusiveness, of forgiveness, of loving your Father and living for Him. And you can recognise that in the world today. All those transforming initiatives that Jesus talks about in the previous chapters 5 through to 7. Now, throughout the rest of the Gospel, over the coming days, we're going to see examples of people who choose the narrow way and who put their trust in the Father. Childlike people. And we're going to also see examples of people who persist in adultish, calculating kind of behaviour instead of trusting their Heavenly Father. In other words, we're going to see examples of both childish and adultish behaviour. That's it for today. See you tomorrow.